Dressing towards a particular fashion archetype can be very, very useful, not just in nailing down your personal style and look, but also in dating for filtering in the specific types of girls that you like and making it easier to date them. But a common problem I see is that guys don't know where to start. They don't automatically know what their best archetype to go for is. They don't know what suits them personally best, and they don't know what looks would actually attract the girls that they're into. And why should you necessarily figure this out easily? It's not like you come into this world with skater stamped on your forehead. But if you can do the hard yards and figure this stuff out, then building a personal style becomes a hell of a lot easier, especially the research portion of it. If you stumbled across this video and have no idea who I am, my name is Cam. I'm a men's image and style coach, and I help guys optimize their look, their style for dating, like I did with myself back in the day, and then clients like Ravi here and clients like Ed here. So in my style programs, I try and nail down a universal appeal. I really think there might be like a game theory optimal style that you could wear anywhere in the world and you would have a shot of improving your chances with women just on the back of this universally appealing style. And that's based off like the most popular Instagram accounts for men, keeping up with trends, keeping up everything up to date, keeping it fresh. But that's not the only way you can go down this route, because you can go down the archetype route like we've been talking about. This is very personalized and more specific. And the idea of this is you kind of know the girls you're into, and there will be an optimal style to attract those women. And then on top of this, you will build a personalized style that you will feel more comfortable and more confident wearing. Your style will become an extension of your personality. And you're like, I've seen guys when they get into this state where they've been wearing, more the stuff that I recommend, but then they switch to a more archetypal style that suits them. And, they just breathe confidence out into the world wearing a style that, they feel like themselves. So I do see a huge benefit to aiming for that. I do view it very much, though, as an advanced thing to do. Like if you're a new guy starting out, go for the more popular styles, go for what I consider more universal appeal, because you need to build up experience. If you're like a virgin in your 20s, you don't even know what kind of girls you're really into. So I do want you to get out there and actually figure out the girls you're into before you start, realigning everything in your dating life to get to specific girls. But, there are a lot of guys who are, confident that they know who they are and they know what archetype they can build. A good example I have to hand of guys I've helped with this is Ed, and I did an interview with him on the channel. He was really into like pagan witchcraft vibey, super bohemian stuff. That's the kind of girls he was into as well. Like he was into like the Wiccan girls. And in the interview, I talked about him with this, like, he went for the street style stuff and decided that wasn't really him. And then he hit me up and was like, yo, can we build a bohemian style? I don't really know what I'm doing with how to build it. And so he used to dress like this, and now he goes more like this. And you see in his results, like he talked about in the interview, like the results he has, the girls he gets are way more aligned with what he wants. And I today am going to give away the methodology for figuring out the archetype that will get you the best results with the girls you want. I'm going to give it away for free, because the actual framework for what you do is pretty easy. The execution can be a little bit tricky. There's a lot of like fashion, like technical stuff with fashion, and like the ability to see fashions and replicate them is something I've worked a long time on. But the actual methodology of figuring out what archetype to go for, I think can be fairly easily done. And if you put enough time into this, you take this video, you take what I recommend, you'll be able to do it. So first of all, it's very easy if a guy is already part of a scene or is already very strongly aware of who they are and what their interests are. This isn't everyone, don't feel ashamed if you're not, but if you want to start by like analyzing yourself and the things you're into and like what social scene are you part of? Are you doing the most to fit into the archetype of that social scene? I was a big part of the rave scene in Australia, especially in Sydney and Melbourne. I didn't dress like I was. I was like part of the scene, but I wasn't like, embracing the fashion of that scene. And I think if you're already part of a scene and you like the people in there and you like dating within that scene, just embrace the fashion of that social scene a lot more. Now that you realize style is really important, you can now focus on doubling down on like who you are within your social life, and you can go really hard in that direction. That's what Ed did. Ed was into the pagan scene and he just doubled down on how do I make myself look as attractive as possible in the styles that I see guys in this scene wearing, because that is how you're going to get the girls in whatever social scene you're a part of. Now, for the guys who aren't really in that situation, maybe feel a bit lost in terms of archetypes, we'll move on to the other things you can do. The first method for guys who have no idea at all is the obvious method, in my opinion. It's called the inspiration method. This is where you are going to go after men whose look and image you admire, and we're going to deconstruct the outfits that they wear and the clothes that they wear so that you can start with copying that. This, I said, this is the obvious one. This is how, well, it's how like people sell clothes with celebrities, you know, like the celebrity wore this, therefore loads of people go out and buy this. But we're going to do it probably primarily with guys who have good Instagram accounts for this. So like influencers are great. If you're into the manosphere stuff and you like, you know, you like First Man, How to Beast, the Tate brothers, that kind of stuff, it's really easy to go over their socials and just pick out outfits because they post a lot of that stuff. Other kinds of influencers, you know, like MMA athletes or whatever like area of men, sort of like male influencers or celebrities who have a specific image that you think is really cool and you want to emulate, and you think that will get you the girls you're looking for or get you into the social scene you want to go for. Start with that. What I would do is find 5 guys whose image you really respect and rate, who are all kind of similar area if possible, and then get 10 outfits of each guy. Just snip tool 10 outfits, and you're going to deconstruct the fashion from those 10 outfits. It requires some research. We're not fucking around here. You know, you actually need to put the time in to research this stuff. I would focus very heavily as someone, if you don't really know much about fashion, I need you to focus on what shoes and outerwear they're wearing. If you can find exact brands, that's great. If you can just basically write what it is, like they're wearing Chelsea boots, but you don't know what brand it is, you can just put Chelsea boots. But start getting good at noticing what different pieces are. And I'd start with outerwear and shoes. So those are the most expensive ones. And when you start building a wardrobe, you're going to be aware that most of your budget will start going on outerwear and shoes. Okay. The second method for finding your archetype, if you have no idea what you're doing, I call the perfect girl avatar method. Find out the girls that you like, what they like. Sounds simple, may require a little bit of digging. So you can ask girls what they like. If you know girls who are sort of your type and you have like a relatively friendly relationship with them, you can literally just ask them. If you've dated a girl if you're on a date with a girl who's your type, you can just ask her like, what's the sort of stuff you're into in terms of like how guys look and stuff like that. There is nothing wrong with straight up going to the source for feedback. However, I know a lot of guys don't really want to do that, or they just don't have the accessibility to the girls that they're after to do that. So there is, a way you can do this otherwise, and it's like scraping Instagram follower lists. If you know a few girls who are your type, I would prefer they don't be celebrities. I'll explain that in a second. But if you can find a few girls on Instagram who, they've added you, you've added them, whatever, they follow you back, so you kind of know them, and you look at who they follow, like which celebrities do they follow, which like low-level male influencer accounts do they follow, and how do those guys look, what's their image like, how do they dress. That's the research we want to do via the perfect girl avatar method. I call it the avatar thing here because it's like when you're building a business, they make you build like a client avatar. That's recommended, and you kind of flesh out what your potential future clients are looking for, all that stuff. And we can do that with girls. Beautiful. So same thing we did with the other method. The goal is to get a research pool. You will notice here that I say find 10 guys that the girls you're into follow, and then get 5 outfits from each. This is possible. I've realized that when it comes to like random guys that you find who are, follows of these girls, they're not influencers all the time. So they may not have like 20 of their best outfits laid out for you in a full body shot, like, the big influencers you may have been imitating in the previous research pool did. So we still want to find a research pool of a lot of outfits so we can track trends, spot outerwear, spot shoes, all that stuff. But it may be harder, so find more examples before you start finding outfits. So yeah, scraping Instagram follows. A couple of points here. Celebrity, like girls who are celebrities, not a great idea for this because a lot of the time they have managed Instagram accounts and the follow list is curated. Case in point, had a guy who said, I'm like really into girls that like Joy Corrigan, like the really famous like Victoria's Secret model. And like, if you look at her Instagram, like the follow list is going to be like managed. Like the entire Instagram is just like managed because it's so important to her and like from like a business perspective. So what you really want are like girls you know, or like lower level influencer account girls, that kind of stuff. But girls you know is a lot better. Like hot girls that you're into, that you know, that's a lot better. Figuring out who they love, who they follow on Instagram, and preferably the accounts you find, you want to be like, it's pretty obvious they follow those accounts because the guy's hot, or they're like they follow the guy because they think he's cool, that kind of stuff. So like, again, those accounts want to be like lower level influencer accounts. I think there's value in looking at the celebrities they follow, but they can follow celebrities for reasons that aren't to do with being attracted to them as well. Like obviously a celebrity's really talented or they like the music, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're looking for like reasonable to assume they're following accounts because, you know, the guy's cool or they're attracted to the guy. The other thing you can do, I had this thing where I was going through couples accounts to see, like for the hippie bohemian style I did for Ed, we were looking at like hippie and bohemian couples on Instagram, like what does the guy look like in those accounts? And I don't want to put looking at couple accounts on anyone. It's like, it's horrific, but they're just really cringe as fuck. But if you can look at, say you're into the celebrities, if you can't look at like maybe who they follow on Instagram because it's not like public, you can look at their former partners. That's a good one. If like you're into a specific like archetype of girl and you look at who they dated in the past, that could be a potential place to, you know, build a style or image off of like the track record of the guys that these girls have dated before. If you can find that information out online really easily, that's probably the only real good one for like girls who are celebrities. So to summarize, those are my 3 bits of advice. You either lean into a scene you're already part of or lean into an aspect of your personality that you already have. The inspiration method, where you go online looking for guys you want to emulate the style they have, you want to build that as your personal style. Or the perfect girl avatar method, where you find out what the girls you're into are into themselves, and then you build that as your pool of research to deconstruct the outfits and the style from there. I hope that makes sense. If you want any help with this, look at my links below for my products, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.